From the time we're in school, we're basically handed this script. Put your head down, grind harder than the next person, and eventually, the universe is just going to reward you with wealth. But if we actually look at the data and the psychology of the world's most successful people, that script is completely broken. In this explainer, we're going to deconstruct the single most deeply ingrained societal belief about how to achieve financial freedom. We're going to look closely at the true architecture of wealth and discover exactly how the transition from pure exhaustion to exponential growth actually happens. It's a question that hits kinda hard, right? Why isn't your hard work making you rich? You might be a freelancer, an entrepreneur, or just someone grinding away at a side hustle, putting in 60, 70, maybe even 80 hours a week. You're exhausted, you're sacrificing your weekends. Yet, when you look at your bank account, the growth is just painfully slow. The math doesn't add up. You're doing exactly what society told you to do, working incredibly hard, but the results are vastly disproportionate to the sweat you're putting in. This disconnect is exactly what we need to solve today. $1 million. It's the universal benchmark for financial independence. But how do you actually get there? Do you work 1 million hours? Obviously not. What we're uncovering today is the playbook successful people use to cross that 7-figure mark. And spoiler alert, they don't do it by simply doubling their working hours. They do it by fundamentally changing the equation of how their time relates to their income.
So, to understand that equation, we first need to break down what's keeping us stuck. Section 1, the hard work myth.
Look, there's a massive contrast between the old way and the new way of making money. The old way is all about working to exhaustion. It's linear growth. You trade 1 hour of your life, and you get a fixed amount of dollars in return. Want more money? You got to give up more of your precious time. The new way, however, is about building systems. This is exponential growth. Instead of trading time for money, you decouple your time entirely from your earning potential. You build an asset, a system, or a piece of software just once, and it keeps generating value without needing a constant injection of your time. Relying strictly on sweat equity physically limits your earning potential for a few very concrete reasons. First off, the 24-hour biological limit. You literally cannot work more than 24 hours in a day, meaning your income has a hard, unbreakable ceiling. Second, pushing against that ceiling leads straight to physical and mental burnout. Third, you've got linear income scaling, meaning your wealth only grows as fast as your exhaustion. And honestly, the diminishing returns are brutal. Think about it. The 14th hour you work in a day is significantly lower in quality than your first hour, but you're burning just as much energy. Let's move to the next chapter and see how this builds into the mindset required to break free. Section 2, the psychology of wealth. When we break down the exact strategies of successful people, the formula is honestly shocking to most. Notice that raw physical effort, the very thing we're all taught to maximize, is actually the smallest piece of the puzzle at just 10%. A staggering 90% of wealth generation comes from a combination of smart decision-making and leverage. Society has completely inverted these numbers in our minds. We think effort should be 90%, but millionaires understand that effort is just the baseline. The real money is made in how you direct that effort. There's a truth you really need to let sink in right now. Wealth is a product of smart decision-making, not just sweat equity. You've got to stop valuing yourself merely by how tired you are at the end of the day. Exhaustion is not a badge of honor. It's usually just a sign of poor leverage. When you shift your psychology to prioritize the quality of your decisions over the sheer quantity of your exertion, your entire financial trajectory is going to change. So if effort isn't the key, what actually is? That brings us to Section 3, the power of strategic leverage. The concept of strategic leverage is absolutely the anchor of everything we're exploring today. It's the use of smart systems, skills, investing, and external resources to exponentially multiply the results of your baseline effort. Think of it like a physical lever. Without a lever, you might only be able to lift 100 pounds. But give someone the right lever, and they can move a massive boulder with the exact same amount of physical push. Leverage takes your 10% of raw effort and literally multiplies it by 1,000. When we track output over time, the difference is night and day. Unleveraged labor just crawls forward slowly. It's totally flat. But look at media, code, and capital investments. They vastly outpace standard labor over that exact same time period. Why? Because a piece of code you write, a video you create, or an investment portfolio you build works 24/7, 365 days a year. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't get sick, and it never experiences burnout. Now, the theory is fascinating, but how do we actually transition to a highly tactical approach? Let's dive into Section 4, building your smart systems. Okay, let's break this transition down into 3 sequential steps.
moving from gaining personal skills to building machines that work while you sleep. Step 1 is acquiring high-income skills. You have to be valuable before you can scale. This means learning things the market desperately needs, like writing persuasive sales copy or coding. Step 2, systematize and automate. Once you have the skill, stop doing it manually. Hire a virtual assistant or deploy software to do the heavy lifting for you. And step 3 is to invest the surplus capital. Take the profit from those systems and let your money start making money entirely on its own. You need to make a fundamental shift in your daily life from tasks that drain you to assets that sustain you. Instead of engaging in active labor like freelance hourly work, build a smart system like creating a digital product you can sell infinitely. Instead of doing mind-numbing manual data entry, plug in automated software to handle it instantly. And instead of just saving cash in a bank account where it quietly loses value to inflation, deploy compound investing. You're actively moving your energy away from direct labor and into self-sustaining systems.
Let's pull all of these strategies together into a long-term roadmap. Welcome to Section 5, the Ultimate Freedom Blueprint.
Look, shifting from hard work to smart work isn't some overnight get-rich-quick gimmick. It requires strategic patience upfront. Over a period of months, you're laser-focused on skill acquisition. You are grinding, yes, but you're grinding to learn, not just to earn. Then, over a period of years, you're building those smart systems, writing the code, building the audience, structuring the business. But here is the magic. Over decades, that foundation leads to explosive, exponential compound growth. The initial effort gets smaller in the rearview mirror, while the financial returns absolutely skyrocket. The entire philosophy we've explored today really comes down to this. It's not about working 100 hours a week. It's about making your hours worth 100 times more through smart systems and leverage. If you want to achieve true wealth, your primary obsession shouldn't be finding more hours in the day. Your primary obsession must be finding ways to maximize the output of the hours you already have. Maximize your output, not your exhaustion. I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Will you keep trading your time, or will you start building your leverage today? Every single day you wake up, you are making a choice between the old way and the new way. The blueprint for wealth isn't some secret locked in a vault. It's a strategic shift in how you deploy your energy. So it's time to reconsider your daily grind, stop glorifying burnout, and take that crucial first step toward true financial freedom. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.